Hello, hello. We are in the Addenda series where I will take one addendum and give you a quick but detailed overview of that specific addendum. Today's document is going to be the addendum for fixture leases. This one's really easy. You find this information or the need for this document depending on your answer in paragraph 4 of your 1 to 4 contract. If that paragraph is not popping up in your mind, then that means you need to go read that contract. So if the answer is yes in paragraph 4, because there are fixture leases on the property, doesn't matter if the fixture leases will be terminated or not by the time that there's a transfer of possession. At the time of contract, are there any fixture leases on the property? If the answer is yes, you need this document. Okay. So what fixture leases are on the property at the time of contract? It gives you some options here, and it even gives you a spot for you to list your own if it's not something that's listed. So it gives you security system, water softeners, propane tanks, solar panels. And again, it gives you a spot where you can list out anything else that could be a fixture lease that's not on there. A Ring doorbell, maybe, it wouldn't necessarily be a security system. It's just a doorbell. If that is a fixture lease, then there you go. At the time of closing, so again, at the time of contract, are there any fixture leases? Yes, then you need the addendum. Okay, that's what you're putting in paragraph 4 of the 1 to 4 contract. Are there any fixture leases on this property? Yes. So now come to the addendum. Number 1, what fixture lease is there? Number 2, at the time of closing, what's going to happen to this fixture lease? At closing, is the buyer going to assume the fixture lease and the seller will assign the buyer the following fixture leases? Whatever you listed up here in the first part, what fixture leases even exist on this property? Is the buyer in agreement with assuming the fixture lease for that water softener? If yes, you should have a check for water softener here. You should have a check for water softener here. Okay. If that person is saying, as the buyer, yes, I want to assume this fixture lease for that water softener, okay, there's going to be a transfer fee. Almost always there's a transfer fee. This box is asking how much of that transfer fee is the buyer going to contribute. So if the transfer fee is $1,000, the buyer could contribute $0, $50, $100, $1,000, $500. Whatever that is negotiated, that's what goes here. So again, is there a fixture lease at the time of contract? Yes. What is the fixture lease? That's an A. Number 1 is asking at closing, what's going to happen to this fixture lease? Is the buyer going to assume it? If the answer is yes, then these two boxes should match. And then how much money is the buyer going to contribute to transferring that fixture lease into their name? Okay. Now, there's also the other option. There is a fixture lease on the property, yes, but prior to closing, the seller will or will not remove the lease fixture. Okay, so what if the buyer is saying at closing, I do not want anything assigned to me? Then that means number 1 is left blank. But there is a fixture lease, there is a water softener. So I have to put yes in A. So I'm going to hit water softener here. I'm leaving number 1 blank because my buyer is not assuming that fixture lease. And as a matter of fact, we want it removed. So then in A2, prior to closing, the seller will or will not remove that fixture lease. I want it removed, so I'm going to hit will not. What's being removed? The water softener in A. Okay, or what's not being removed? The water softener in A. Okay, so there could be a situation where there is a fixture lease, but then option to buy or something like that. The buyer is saying, I'm not assuming anything. The seller's going to have to pay for it and leave it for me on the property. So then, therefore, the buyer assumes nothing, but the seller will leave it on the property. Okay, so there's a whole bunch of different ways. It's just depending on the way that the question is asked, what the buyer and the seller agree to, depends on what you're checking here. Okay, so now letter B is talking about the delivery of these fixture leases. So the lease that is being delivered is the document, not the actual item. We talked about the item up here. Okay, now the documents, did the buyer receive a copy of the fixture lease that they agreed to assume? If I said, yes, there's a water softener, yes, we're going to assume it. Yes, we're going to pay $250 towards that total. No, the seller will not remove it. Did the seller give me the copies of this fixture lease that I am agreeing to assume? Yes. Okay. Buyer has, or in that same scenario, the buyer has not received a copy, and they have 5 days to give me that copy, or I can terminate within 7. Okay. And then it automatically, if you look at it, see how it automatically checks number 3. The seller provides buyer with notice of the following oral fixture leases as well. Okay. So sometimes, yeah, honestly, it's literally sometimes someone can say, you know what, you can lease my camera system for $50 a month. Shake on it. What is the oral lease that you have agreed to as well that I need to be aware of and that I'm going to get documentation for? Okay. Now it automatically picks this because buyer has not received a copy of all fixture leases that the buyers agreed to assume. You can't give me a copy of this fixture lease because it's oral. So that's why it automatically picks both. Okay. And then at the bottom, everybody signs it and we're good. So again, the start of this conversation is in paragraph 4 of your 1 to 4 contract. If there is a fixture lease, then I'm using this addendum. It doesn't matter if the fixture lease will be terminated at closing. It doesn't matter. All that matters is at the time that I sent this contract, what is there a fixture lease or multiple fixture leases on the property? If the answer is yes, start using the addendum and go through your questions. Okay. I hope this helps.